Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the Railway and welcome back to another Tri-ang unboxing. And as you can tell by this, we're going to be looking at the Tri-ang / Hornby Coronation Classes today. And I'm showing you this one first because this one's in its box. Hang on, I'll just put this on the floor so that you can see it. And yeah, this one is the maroon one, of course, King George VI. And yes, it's in the very old-fashioned Tri-ang Hornby style packaging, as you can see by the side there. And it comes in this sort of yellow bubble, which I'm not dead keen on because it can mark the locomotives. But this loco doesn't go in this packaging very often. Okay, let me show you the end of the box very quickly then. You've got the product number, which is R871, LMS, King VI, 462 loco. So, yep, that's all that is. I'm going to get this one out straight away then. I'll start with the tender. And you just got to be really careful with this packaging because it is quite a tight fit sometimes. Though it does its job, you know, it keeps them still and it does what it needs to. So there it is. Yes, a very pristine tender, that one. I think it is in virtually mint condition. And it's very, very glossy, as you can probably see there. Okay, let me get the actual locomotive out then. And this one is quite rare actually. This was only produced for a few years. I think it came out in... I'm not doing this right. I think it came out in 1971, this one. And I think it was released until about 1974 or something like that. So there it is then, number 6244. Beautiful Pacific there. Let me try and get the tender with it as well. There we go. There it is. Beautiful, really, really beautiful. So, yep, that's King George. More on her in a bit. But there is a little bit more to see with this packaging because underneath the bubble, and I don't know if this has ever been disturbed before, you know, since I got it. Underneath this bubble, if I take it out, you can see under here there's some more stuff. And this is actually an alternative names and numbers pack. You can see you've got Queen Elizabeth, the Duchess of Rutland, I think, and the City of Edinburgh, and also their numbers, as you can see there. So that is really cool. And you've also got this, which is the list which shows you the names and numbers. So you've got the Coronation, the Battle of Britain, Coronation again, Princess, Britannia, and the Halls. So really, really interesting that, and that's really cool. So yeah, never been opened. I don't suppose anybody saw these before because they've just not been touched. They were just found at the bottom of this box when I bought it. So yeah, that's really cool. Time to move on then to the blue version. And here it is then, the blue one, and I think this one is a little bit more rare than the red one. I think it was released for 1 year less. I believe this one came out in 1970 rather than 1971, so 1 year earlier, and it was produced until 1973, I think. So this one is known just as Coronation, as you can see by the name there, number 6220, and I'll lift these up so that you can see them a little bit better. Here's the loco. Yeah, a beautiful thing, it really is. Again, very, very nearly mint condition, this one. I think the red one is in mint condition, but yeah, here's the tender as well then. Yeah, a real beauty, that one, and yeah, a real classic, of course, in the blue. So that's very nice. So you've seen the red and the blue ones now then, and I think that is the only two liveries that Tri-ang did them in, but I have got a third one, and it's this one here. Now, I believe this one used to be the maroon version, so it used to be the King George one, but some very clever person has completely repainted it into wartime black. And of course you can tell that it's wartime black because it's got this, well, it's lost its lining basically, hasn't it? So it's very, very subtle, of course, and it wouldn't be easy to spot. So this one is Queen Mary, and Hornby did make a Queen Mary a little bit later on, but it didn't have this running mechanism. So I've looked inside the tender and it was actually the red one originally. You can see the red inside it. But it's a very good job, and even the inside of the body has been done. So it's obviously just been matte painted black and then the details been added on. So yes, let me lift it up then. 6222 Queen Mary. And it's a really beautiful runner, this one is, and I've always liked this one. There it is. This is the first of the three I got, I believe, as well, so yeah, quite unique really. So there we go then, that is the three Coronation Class locos. I'm going to review the blue one, I think, just because I've not shown that one before, but you can see the black one and this red one in a few videos that I've done in the past. So yeah, here's a little bit of info then about the Coronation Class, and I know I've read it out before quite a bit recently, but just in case anybody was interested, here we go. So they were designed by William Stanier, of course, and they actually became one of the largest and most powerful classes ever to run in the UK. The class were his final Pacific and by far his most successful, and when they performed they considerably outstripped the earlier Princess Royal class, which I believe these probably were designed to replace. 38 of the class were constructed over 11 years, and sadly only 3 of those remain in preservation today. Famously, the class appeared with this iconic streamlining, though this was actually removed from 1946 onwards during the BR period. And basically that was because there wasn't any proof that it actually helped them, you know, it didn't really improve their performance at all. But you could argue that it did help them in becoming very iconic and very famous locomotives. Anyway, on with the review then, and here is the lovely blue one. And there she is then, Coronation, up against the white background, and these models are nearly 50 years old, so I don't think we can really say anything bad about the detail on this thing. First of all, it looks really smart, and it does capture the locomotives really nicely. I do apologise that it isn't in absolutely mint condition. You can see there's a little bit of paint loss on the linings there, but again, for 50 years old, I don't think that's really too bad. This one quite noticeably has the plastic wheels, the plastic bogie wheels at the front there, and the wheels on the truck at the back there are also plastic. I don't change things like that because I like to keep them in completely original condition. But the later one, the one that came out in 1971, or was it 72? Anyway, the maroon one did have the metal wheels, so obviously that's something they changed really quite quickly. So let's look at the detail anyway. Of course, there isn't an awful lot of moulded and separately fitted detail on this model, but in real life they were quite simple because of this streamlined casing, as you can see. But the paintwork is really nicely done. I mean, the lining is very nicely applied. It goes all the way from the front here, as you can see, where all the lines converge, and then they go all the way back across the locomotive and towards the tender, which looks fantastic. On the side of the cab you have got the running number there, which is painted on, number 6220, and the cab is fairly basic, as you can see there. There's no glazed windows, which is perfectly fine for a Tri-ang / Hornby model of this age. And inside the cab you do have a little bit of cab detail in there, which is very nice, but sadly that too is not painted. You do have the handrails here, as you can see, which are separately fitted, and I may try and take that off one day and clean it up, because it's getting a little bit, I don't know, a little bit dirty. But I don't really want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary, because there's a chance I might damage it. Up on the top, we don't have any separately fitted safety valves or anything like that, but the cab roof is painted black, as you can see, and yeah, I think that's basically it for the detail. There's not a terrible amount, but you know, for the age I think it's really quite nice, and certainly it looks very elegant. I will show you the buffers though, because I think they're made of metal, but they do appear to be separately fitted, yes. So yeah, the loco is fairly basic, of course, but you know, these things were intended to be like that, and you know, the fact that this is still here today, nearly 50 years later, and still running, really proves that it worked. You know, make them about quality rather than about stunning detail, and you know, I agree, I must admit. Okay, let's look at the tender then. Now again, this tender, as well as the loco actually, was kept on for many years, and it appeared on various different models. But either way, the tender is very nicely painted, of course, with this lovely LMS blue, and that lining from the locomotive does go right across the front of the tender there, and I like the way the LMS is sort of printed into that lining. It's really quite interesting, that is. The underframe detail is quite nice as well. There's lots of different moulded detail there, and I think that's probably the place where the detail is the most rich. But you do have plastic wheels there as well, but of course that's not really a problem. Up on the top, the coal is quite nice. I think for Tri-ang, that is certainly pretty good coal. It's quite fine. It is a little bit glossy, yeah, but normally they were. But yeah, I do like that coal. I think that's very realistic. And on the back, you've got a reasonably detailed buffer beam, and it also has those separately fitted buffers, which are pretty nice. So yeah, generally a very smart locomotive. It is old and dated, and I don't think you'd be buying one of these if you're after detail. But to be honest, for their age, they really are very impressive. Now there is one thing I will point out, and you'll see more about this later. Tri-ang actually got the length of the locomotive wrong. In real life, I don't know how much longer. They're probably good, about that much longer perhaps. So yeah, they managed to shorten the locomotives for some reason. And I know that because I've got a modern Hornby one, and that one is quite a bit longer. But also, I did buy once a blue one like this that somebody very cleverly had cut about here, just cut the body off and extended it by about an inch, probably, well, perhaps not an inch, but you know, a good few centimetres perhaps, and lengthened the body considerably. And that one you'll see out on the layout today, and I have reviewed that one before, but yeah, it doesn't run all that well, but it is a more realistic length, which is quite interesting. So yeah, there it is then, Coronation. Let's get on to performance and see how she runs. So the lovely Tri-ang Coronation is down on the track then, and I'm going to do a little performance test with her in just a second. But first of all, I will show you what else is on the line. Now, she's about to couple up to my blue Coronation Scott coaches, and there's 5 of those, which hopefully will look nice with her. They normally do. And they're all the way back there because I've got this modern Hornby one out in that siding, as you can see. And I'm going to park this one next to that so that you can see the difference in length. It is only a very slight difference. It's not as big as I thought. It's probably about, I don't know, one centimetre, maybe 2. But it is enough to make a little bit of a difference, so I thought it would be worth showing that. On the middle line then we have King George, the lovely maroon version with the gold stripes, looking lovely. And she's got some of those Lima Blood and Custard coaches, which normally look very nice with an LMS locomotive. On the inner line then, we've got 6222 Queen Mary, the black one, and she's got a mixed train. I haven't done this for years, but I thought because she's in a wartime black livery, it would be nice to put a mixture of coaches and freight onto her to sort of reflect that time. Because of course resources were very limited back then, and sometimes even the grandest locomotives like the Coronations had to chip in and, you know, pull some freight as well. So yeah, I thought that would be quite interesting. So let me give you a little bit of a performance test then with Coronation. Now she's about to go onto a point, and this loco isn't great with points, but yeah, we'll see what happens. So slow speed to start with then. Oh, she's going backwards, that's quite good actually. Stops her going on to that point. So as you can see, she is moving there. She's not moving smoothly, but you know, that's quite normal, isn't it, for a Tri-ang loco. Is she still moving now? Yeah, she is actually. So that actually is very, very good slow speed performance. Let's try it slowly because sometimes they are better forwards. Yeah, jolting forwards a little bit. Not terribly smooth, but certainly very good for their age. And this one was serviced last week, I think I did this one. So it's at the top of its game, I would say. Okay, let me speed her up then, and I'll park her next to that modern Coronation so you can see the size difference. There you go. So yeah, you can see a very slight difference there. I've probably not got the best camera angle in the world for that, but you can see the slight difference there. Okay, on she goes then. Let me carry on reversing her back, and she will couple up to her coaches, hopefully. There we go. Bit of a jolt there. Alright. Off we go forwards. There she goes. And let's start King George VI then. There she goes. Got to keep her steady because she's a quick one. And Queen Mary then. Let's start her with her various mixed freight. And of course keep an eye out for, I think, 4 other locomotives. 5 including the modern Hornby one. And also including the elongated Tri-ang version. See if you can spot that one. Here comes King George now, just going under the bridge. Looks gorgeous, looks just the part actually. And here's Coronation with her Coronation Scott coaches. Definitely an express passenger speed that, but yeah, pulls them really well without a problem. And there's Queen Mary with her mixed train, I suppose you'd call it. They do run fantastically, and it doesn't seem that lots of coaches really hold them back much either. You know, they can pull quite a lot. Queen Mary's got some heavy stone wagons there. And yeah, 5 coaches on this one too. Pretty good really. Can't complain at that. Here's my ratings then for the Tri-ang Coronation Class. First of all, detail 7 out of 10. It isn't going to compare to modern standards, of course, but for the time I think the detail was pretty good. I think there were better models around at the time, but certainly not bad at all. Performance 8 out of 10. They're great pullers, they do reasonably well at slow speed. Character 9 out of 10. This would have been a 10, but of course they are a little bit too short to have captured them just right, but you know, not a big complaint. Build quality 9 out of 10. Very, very good quality models. I do like them a lot. Value, you can pick these up for about £65, so that's a little bit more than most Tri-ang locos, but they weren't produced for very many years, so that's probably why. Overall then, 8 out of 10, a pretty good solid model, and one of my favourites from Tri-ang, definitely. Yeah, really enjoying this actually. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Tri-ang stuff, and it's, I don't know, I just find it really fun to run it, you know, especially when they look as good as they do. Alright then folks, well that should just about do it for today. I do hope you enjoyed seeing these Tri-ang coronations, and if you did enjoy the video, please feel free to leave a like or even a comment, because I do love it when you all get in touch, and I do get back to you all, so yes, please do that if you'd like to. Also, feel free to check out the Facebook and the Twitter pages, and they're at facebook.com/samstrains and twitter.com/samstrains. It will be lovely to see you on there, and also don't forget you can send in your pictures, drawings, photographs to samstrains@outlook.com, and I'll print them off and put them up on the wall of fame. As you can see, it's growing here, and then you might see it in one of the videos. So yep, do that if you'd like to, but I think that's just about it. I don't think there's any more to say, other than thank you very much for watching once again, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers everybody.